already have 41A.
That's not 41A.
Okay, Miss Asbury. I don't want that would have been good. Like, you don't eat meat, right?
Right.
I would have brought you food.
They probably, somebody would probably would have brought you like chicken.
Would you have ate it, Miss Asbury?
No, I don't eat meat.
So you would have like left it on away?
I would have given it to someone who eats meat.
Like me?
Probably not. You can't follow simple rules.
There you go. Wait, will that thing start over next week?
No.
That's like forever now?
Yep.
So, dang.
I know, life's tough.
It is.
Okay, so what we're going to do first is we're going to break down our perfect squares using our radicals. And then we're going to simplify radicals that are not perfect squares. Are we ready? Ah, I did not mean to hit that. Aww.
2, 5, 2, 5, 6,
What's the date?
2, 8, 9.
Nine.
You just answer the Alright, so.
Alright, are we ready? Yay, thank you.
I did not. I can't even throw. I can't even move this song.
Alright, here we go. So our first example just says simplify the radicals.
You still marking. You're gonna have to pick those up. That'd be disrespectful. The mouth on top of your head.
Alright, so those are our first 4 problems that we're going to do. And we are just going to simplify these radicals. Now, these are perfect squares. So we simplify them much easier than we do when it's not a perfect square. Now, a square root or a radical, when it looks like this, remember the index is what here? 2, because it's not written. And what's our radicand for A? 81. Awesome. Take a point, both of you. No. I know. Life's tough. Alright, so square root means that you need 2 of the same number. You need 2 of the same number that multiply together to give you this. So what 2 numbers multiply together to give you 81? 9 and 9. So when you take the square root, it just equals 9. You take one of them. Does everybody understand so far? No? Because they're the same thing, right? So you just pick one and it's your best friend and it goes out here. We're going to talk about that. That's the fun we get to in just a minute, where we get to use our perfect squares and figure out what to do. All right? What 2 numbers multiply to give you 484? 22. And you can easily use your note card to do this. That's why we made the note card.
That's okay. I got it now. I thought we were trying to split it in half.
You make my head hurt. No. Okay, that's a common mistake. This is not dividing by 2. Square root is not dividing by 2. It's finding 2 of the same number that multiply to give you that. It is not dividing by 2. All right, what about 121? 11. So the square root is 11. What about 361?
19.
So the answer is 19. Boom, that's the first one. Look at us go.
Okay.
You can't what? Okay.
Ryan, are you okay?
Give me that.
Oh, I can't wait till February is over.
For the day or the period?
February. We may just switch them next week and y'all get new seats because y'all just talk the whole time. Thought we'd be able to handle it. Nope.
And I can move to the front. Like,
Valentine's Day.
Yes, today is Valentine's Day. We celebrated on February 9th.
Oh, really?
Happy Valentine's Day.
Name on that.
What did you get for Desiree?
Not Valentine's.
I know, sarcasm.
I got a new set of Harry Potter books.
Whoa, look at you.
And an ironing board. Married life. Real pumped about those. That's exactly what I wanted, so.
Chocolate or rose?
Usually I'm alone by myself on Valentine's Day. Like, my parents start yelling at my brother with their girlfriend, and I'm just sitting
She doesn't like it.
not yet. I'm just
Remember when I was like, she was at with that, you know, I don't think that.
Kids, I do not care. Let's do math. Alright, so the first one that we're going to break down is the square root of 24. Now, let's look at our perfect square list. Remember, the second column are the perfect squares. Is 24 on there? No, it is not a perfect square. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the biggest perfect square, which is this column, the biggest perfect square that divides evenly into 24. Which of these numbers divides evenly into 24? No, guys, we need perfect squares. We're finding, okay, again, we need a perfect square. Is 12 a perfect square? No. So it's the second column. So we pick the biggest one from this column, or this column, or this column. Those are the ones we use. Will any of those numbers go into 24? Which one?
4.
The 4. Okay. So we're going to break it down into 4 and what? 6. Awesome. Now, do you see how we don't have 2 of the same number right now?
Yes.
Can we break down 4 into 2 of the same number? Because it's a perfect square, so it's 2 times 2. Now, what do we do with these 2's? What do we do up here? We put equal and we brought it to the outside, right? So here, we would say 2, but what's left? It stays under the radical. So we have 2 of the same number because that's what we were looking for, these 2. We brought it to the outside, and 6 stays under the radical. Now, why could we not use 12? It's not a perfect square. Why could we not use 2?
Wait, what's that green?
Yes,
What do you mean?
these numbers. A perfect square is a number that you get when you take the square root of and you get the whole number. So 2 squared, the perfect square is 4.
Oh,
So it's when you multiply a number by itself, that number that you get, that's a perfect square. And if you take the square root of it, you get a whole number. Like the square root of 4 is 2. But if we take the square root of 24, so if I said, where's my square root on here? Square root of 24, I'm going to get 4.89, blah, 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 blah. So that's not what we're doing. We want to simplify it because we don't want this. Okay? So our goal each time is to simplify. Now, what if I said, all right, if I said the square root of 50, what's the biggest perfect square that goes into 50? 7's not a perfect square, sweetie. Again, we need perfect squares. 25. All right, so let's break this down into 25 times what?
At the time, can we have Quill and Scroll and Skills USA TV and film for club pictures in the gym? Thank you.
When you're not in any club.
What is quill and scroll?
No.
I guess quilt.
No, a quill is something that you write with.
Oh, like a feather.
Okay, so what you do now, 25 is our perfect square, right? What's the square root of 25? 5, and then root, what stays under the radical? 2. So the one that's by itself stays under the radical. So these friends can go out and play. This one has to stay in the house. All right, let's do another one. And this is not something that I expect you to get right away. This is something that you have to practice over and over and over and over. Okay, are we ready? $128. So remember, we're picking from our perfect squares. What perfect square do you think divides evenly into this? 64? All right, let's do 128 divided by 64 in our calculators. We get 2. Do we agree? Okay. So we can break this down into 64 times 2. What's the square root of 64? What happens to the 2? No. What happens to the 2? Leave it under the radical sign. Take a point. So we take the square root of the perfect square because this breaks down into 8 and 8. We have 2 of the same number, and that's what we need, right? Because our index is 2. So we need 2 of the same number. We bring the 8 to the outside, and the 2 stays under the house. Can you try one without me?
Yes.
Can you at least try?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I ask. Alright, let's try. Alright, so we're trying the square root of 98 without me.
Oh my.
Why don't you work out the problem instead of talking?
I know what it is.
Yes, ma'am.
Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I have to see what you
Okay.
did. Yeah, all you
Y'all are
need
so
to do.
cool. I wish I could be like y'all. Y'all coordinate that. I'll put it together.
Oh, so exciting.
Yeah, is there always a big
Mm.
Actually,
We had 4 and 6 up here,
actually,
right? What did you get? Tell me.
the perfect square is 49.
And you got 49 and what? Okay. So what was your answer when you took the square root of the perfect square?
7 and with the radical.
Awesome. Take a point. Good job. All right. So the way we say this is 7 root 2. Okay? Does everybody understand? The way we say this is 7 root 2. Are we ready to try another one? All right. So we are going to do... We're going to do this one together. That says 600x squared.
You always have to divide it by 2?
No.
Is it by the quarter?
You divide it by the perfect square.
No.
It just happened to be 2 on those 3, but our first one was 4 and 6, right?
Yeah.
All right, so what about this one? What is the biggest perfect square that's going to go into 600? 100. So that would be 100 times what? Okay, now we didn't use 2 that time, did we? All right, so what's the square root of 100? 10. And then root 6. Now what about this x squared? How many x's do we have in x squared? 2. X and x. And how many of the same number do we need? We need 2 of the same number. Do we have 2 of the same thing? Alright, so this guy comes to the outside with a 10.
So 10x root.
10x root 6. Magic.
I'm not ready for
You don't. These really do take practice. This is not something that you're just going to get.
How do you know which one goes on the outside?
Say it to me one more time.
How do you know which one goes on the outside?
Alright, we took the square root of this, right? So this is 2 of the same number. That's what we're trying to get.
Is
Is
it always a bigger number that's on the outside?
no, most of the time, but not necessarily. It's the one that's a perfect square, the one you can take a square root of. So we have 2 10s to make up 100, right? How many 6s do we have?
And spell multiplication.
1, 6.
So he stays under there. So it's what's left over, that's what stays under. Alright. Now, what I want you to do in your group,
But you could have done it 3 on the 6.
3 times 3 is not 6.
Oh, yeah.
That's okay. A lot of people do that when we get to perfect squares. So what I want you to do is, in your group, I would like you to please take the square root of 512x squared. You can call it F on the back if you want. I'll write it down if you would like me to. The square root of 512x squared. Why don't you use yours?
Because I like to borrow.
Oh, why doesn't... Okay. I'm just being Elsa.
Justin has the answer.
Well, let's let other people try. I am very proud that you have the answer, though.
I'm not living a lot from my mom for this party. I think it was like August 1st.
Who said that? I know you understand what just happened.
I'm sorry. I want to be a better person, but I'm not. All right, so what perfect square did you guys get? Or did we get stuck?
I'm stuck.
Okay, that's okay. So, all right. It's 512, right? So let's pick the biggest perfect square that...
At this time, can I have SGA for club pictures in the gym? SGA. Thank you.
All right, so it's a big number, so we're going to go on the larger end of our numbers. Let's try 324. Okay, that didn't work, so we're going to go smaller. So, okay, you pick a perfect square, baby. So the perfect squares are the one on the right. That's what I've been saying over and over and
I
over.
get it now. I get it.
You're lying to me.
No, I know what you mean. When it's not a perfect square, you get one from me.
All right, so then that one just happened to be 2. We take the square root of 256, which is what?
16.
All right, now how many x's do we have?
2.
And so we bring 1 to the outside. What stays under the radical?
2.
Look at us go.
2. Or 16.
16 extra 2. All right, now what I want you to do is please get the whiteboards that are in the 4th drawer. We're going to pair up. So the person next to you is who you're going to pair with. She's not next to you. No. You have 2 boards in the 4th drawer.
I want it to assault.
And it is confusing the first time.
I heard you, I was like, is he really just... What about your dad?
What are you doing? You have stuff in your 4th drawer. You need to come back up here.
You said that.
I said come back up here. Right, you're not. I didn't tell you to move, did I? Take a color.
Oh. You got like a public concert.
My dad and he goes, same thing, so you're going to go home. I was like, oh my god.
She just said a dad does this.
Iron brand.
Yes, you may. All right, so I'm going to write some radicals on the board, and you are going to simplify. Does everybody understand?
Yeah.
You may use your notes, yes. Keep your notes out so you can use them, and keep your perfect square card out. So I'm going to write some down. You're going to write them on your whiteboard, and you're going to simplify. So we're practicing over and over and over and over and over. Okay? Is everybody ready? You're using the card to help you.
Alright, my table's up there.
It's not a race. All right, square root of 192. Talk to each other, figure out the biggest perfect square that goes into it. We are working as partners.
Oh, that's not right. Okay.
It's 192.
Here we go. 90.
Remember, you need the biggest perfect square.
And two. Do you have like the Expo thing and stuff? Jennifer?
I just have white.
Wait, okay, we don't.
Alright, are we ready?
Where's the square root here, right?
You take the square root of it.
Oh, alright, okay. Can we get like a paper towel?
We're the best table that's out there. We already won.
Wait, so do you multiply it?
Is that for me?
Say it again.
Like, do you multiply that to like 289?
So you would do 192 divided by 289.
Oh, okay.
Divide. I'm sorry, sweetie. I was not looking.
Would it be 8?
Oh, yeah.
How many dogs do you have, Sid?
3.
We used to have 4.
Have one.
Now we have 3.
I don't think that's right.
Yeah, my dog got hit by a
So let's
bus.
work with our partner.
He ran out the door.
Okay, 96 is not a perfect square.
Do you want to see right now?
Yes, because we're about to put it on the board. I would choose the bigger one, because it's not a perfect square.
I saw one when I hit the.
96 is not a perfect square.
We got ran out of the house.
Did you go? Take a point. Take a point.
Wait, do I get
Take a point.
Right.
Yes, take a point.
I got it.
We get 2 points.
Keep going.
Do you get a perfect triangle?
So do we get 2 points?
16 times 16 is not, you need the biggest perfect square, sweetie.
16 times 16.
Is not it.
I thought that.
Yeah, okay, every what if it keeps going? Like, what if it keeps it going?
32 times 32 is not 64, baby. No. That's not the square root. Remember we said that 3 times. Yes, take a point. Miriam, take a point. Close. You didn't. The perfect square is right.
I didn't even look at your board.
Do 192 divided by the perfect square. Do not say you don't get this and then give up.
I don't get the.
Where's that little?
It's not what we're
I
doing.
used to cry over this, but I didn't get it. I can sit there and cry.
What do we need though?
The perfect square is right. I can't really read what's under. I can't really read that. Like I don't know what's under the radical. I don't know what that number is. That's not right.
Emily copied my work.
No, I did. No, I did not.
I can't. Baby, stop moving it. No,
Help me though.
I can't read that, and I don't even know what that says.
That's like 32.
Guys, it's 64 and 3. So I said y'all had the perfect square right, Cynthia. You put a 2. I said you had the perfect square right. It was this one. Now, you take the square root. Yes, you take the square root of 64, and that's 8 root 3.
I have that.